Welcome to Like a Bomb, a podcast about powerful women from the past and present.
Not fragile like a flower.
Fragile like a bomb. Welcome to Like a Bomb. This is episode 8. I'm Bailey.
I'm Jill, aka Mom.
Hopefully, our audio comes out because we're recording on my phone in the middle of Harvard Square.
Yay, we made it.
Sort of.
Kind of.
Parking was a pain. It was weird.
We want a sign that just says Harvard.
We want to take our Gilmore Girls picture.
We have our shirts.
They say Dragonfly in.
We're ready.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But it's pretty.
It is very pretty. We'll explore a little bit more of campus. This is an open campus.
Yep.
Most campuses are. Not all. Let's see. Harvard is old. I don't know how old. Didn't look that up.
Yeah. I'm wondering which one's older, this or William and Mary. Guess we'll find when I ask Google.
I don't know. Why don't you ask Google now? How old is William and Mary?
Which one came first?
And where's William and Mary again? It's in Virginia.
It's in Williamsburg.
It's in Williamsburg. So you know, Virginia was also very early settled on, as well as Massachusetts and New England area.
Mary College, 331 years.
So William and Mary College is 331 years old.
How old is Harvard? 387.
Oh my God. Harvard is 387 years old. That's insane.
Imagine if that was a dog.
I don't think Harvard's a dog.
But if it was, it'd be very old.
That dog would be very dead, but also it'd have a cult worship.
It might have a cult worship. We don't know what's happening under the ground.
I mean, I was basically in a cult in my school.
Yeah.
That club sucked.
Well, we're here.
We're here.
It's pretty.
I'm queer. You're not.
People probably think we're weird.
I don't know. There's enough people in the square. Most people don't pay no mind, especially if they're students.
Somebody tell me why they're rubbing the foot of a statue.
It's usually good luck tradition. I don't know.
But why a foot? Why is it that foot?
Let's go find the plaque and look it up. I don't know.
So,
it's September 30th. It's almost spooky season.
Oh, yep. We're almost there. I get to start wearing all my... Wait.
You can still wear it. I'll wear it before it.
Yeah.
As soon as it turns fall and things.
Yeah.
Decorate the house with fall.
But one of my co-teachers, he sings Nightmare Before Christmas songs to me, especially when I wear it in like the spring. Thinks it's very weird when I wear my Halloween stuff all year round. But if it's Halloween in your heart, it should be outside for everybody to see because it's pretty and beautiful.
Well, I mean, your favorite colors are orange and green and black and purple.
I mean, black's just pretty.
It goes with everything.
It's cheerful.
How is black cheerful?
Because it's elegant.
Fair enough. You got a cheerful black cat who tried sticking his butt up while cuddling with Pip.
Yeah, he's so tiny.
He looked very tiny. I see a tour coming our way.
I know.
It's going to be loud.
A very big tour.
Yeah. We're not on a tour. We're doing our own thing. But excuse any tapping because I have to go access my notes on my phone. And I will be stealing the phone away from Mommy. And finding my notes will be difficult at the moment because I took a screenshot of one. Okay.
Drink my coffee.
Yeah, drink your coffee. So, we're at Harvard. Well, this podcast is about women. So I figured, who is the first woman who graduated from Harvard University? So, Google search, you can see that Harvard University's first credentialed woman was Linda Frances James, born in 1891, who received her certificate in public health from the Harvard-MIT School for Health Officers in 1917. And while we're at it, I also had it pop up initially for Yale, so I'm going to include this. Alice Ruffy Jordan Blake received a bachelor's in law in 1886 from Yale Law School, becoming the university's first female graduate. So before Harvard, Yale graduated a woman.
Go Yale.
And I have another article that's kind of women at Harvard University from the Harvard Library. So it kind of goes a general consensus of women through history till today at their school. So it starts off with how women history at Harvard is long, layered, nuanced, and complex. When is it not? Colleges already didn't like women, especially a college as old as this one.
I cried a lot when I was in college as an old lady.
I also cried a lot in college, and I don't know if that picked up, but yes.
I cried a lot when I was in college as an old lady. They were mean to old ladies.
Colleges don't like non-traditional students. And most of Harvard, the most that I see around here that are wearing backpacks are traditional students. But not every woman is, and so on. I think the lady that went to Yale and the woman that went to Harvard, that was the first credentialed woman, at least the woman who went to Harvard, she was like traditional in a sense, like she was 18 when she went. And so women didn't have any academic opportunities until the late 19th century. They participated in the university community from its founding in 1636. So they've been a part of it for a very long time and weren't even allowed to participate properly in the university that they were a part of.
Yeah. They're just the pillars.
Well, yeah. It's always, the woman of the household is like runs the things behind kind of stereotype and whatnot. And so they was mostly their community as family members of faculty, admin, and students. Women were also some of the university's earliest donors. And in the 18th century, enslaved women, including Venus and, I'm going to butcher their name, I'm sorry, Bilhah, worked and lived in the homes of Harvard presidents Wadsworth and Holyoke. I hope no one from Harvard's listening anytime soon.
I do. I want to go. Accept me. You got to take my high school transcripts though. You wouldn't do it. Couldn't find them. Ugh.
You want to pay for Harvard?
No.
Let alone online?
No,
it's not as much fun.
But maybe y'all don't live at home. I can move far, far away.
You just bought a house. Have fun telling Grammy that.
The cats can get jobs.
The cats are too baby. Maybe you can make them stars on TikTok or something.
Finn is so photogenic, and he just poses and poses. He could be a model.
He could. I don't know how much money you're going to get as a cat model.
I don't know. Finn's beautiful. He could make millions. Okay, what about these ladies at Harvard?
The college also employed women from its founding, filling jobs as cooks, sweepers, librarians, and admins. As early as the 1800s, the scrub women who cleaned students' rooms and buildings were known as goodies, a term presumably derived from good wife. Many Harvard students also interacted with women from the Cambridge University.
Wait, wasn't it Goody Proctor and those kind of things?
Yeah, I don't know. I think this may have been too old.
Okay, I will look into that later.
But so many of the students interacted with the women from the community who ran boarding houses and provided services as laundresses and seamstresses. Additionally, many Harvard faculty wives had made significant intellectual contributions to their husbands' work, rarely receiving recognition for those efforts. Big surprise there. It's a common problem. One such early example of this occurred during the Revolutionary War when Hannah Winthrop, born 1727, died 1790, collaborated with her husband John Winthrop, born 1714, died 1779. That's a big age gap.
Yeah.
It's 13 years. And she collaborated with his astronomical observations. And this tradition of spousal collaboration has spanned centuries and is documented in many of our archival collections. R as in Harvard. So, continuing, Radcliffe College and Education for Women. As Harvard did not admit women as students, nor did it offer any other official academic status, Elizabeth Cary Agassiz founded the Society for the Collegiate Instruction of Women, known colloquially as the Harvard Annex, in 1879. By 1890, more than 200 women were enrolled in the program. In 1894, the newly named Radcliffe College was granted as official charter by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, with Agassiz serving as its first president. Despite the establishment of multiple women's colleges across New England during this period, Harvard continued to refuse the admission of women as students or to recognize them in any official academic roles. So these more than 200 women technically went to Harvard, but they are not considered the first women women to get a degree from Harvard in any capacity. And in 1943, a donation of a suffragist material assembled by Maud Wood Park established the Radcliffe Library, which is now known as the Arthur and Elizabeth Schlesinger Library on the History of Women in America. I think it should be recalled the Radcliffe Library, because Radcliffe was a big woman who helped push towards this creation. I don't know who Arthur and Elizabeth did for Harvard other than possibly donate a lot of money.
Well, you have money, you get your name on buildings and socks and all kinds of things.
I don't have that kind of money.
I can't get my name on a notebook. Even if I write it, I have to buy the Sharpie.
You can scratch it with your fingernail.
True. Very, very true.
That's one way to do it. You produce it yourself.
True.
So it goes on to citing the 1940s through the 1960s, where during World War II, Harvard temporarily permitted Radcliffe students to enroll in all courses at Harvard College, allowing women students into Harvard classrooms for the first time. Wow. In 1948, Helen Maud Cam became the first female faculty member to be tenured at Harvard. Astronomy professor Cecilia Payne Gaposchkin became the first woman member of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences to be promoted to full professor in 1956, and later became the first female to head a department at Harvard.
Wow.
In 1963, Harvard degrees were awarded to Radcliffe students, and women were accepted into Harvard's Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. In 1967, Lamont Library allowed women access to its stacks for the first time. So they're still not really students of Harvard. They're just Radcliffe College.
Yeah. Wonder what it says on their diploma.
I wonder what it says on the diploma, too.
I mean, if they have it framed on the wall, anybody who goes in their house, these people are dead, so do they take it with them?
Not necessarily.
It doesn't say Harvard. Why would you not take it with
If they
you?
graduated in 63, they might not.
That's true. Your Grammy's still here.
Yes. Although Grammy wouldn't have graduated college in 63.
No, she would have only been 13.
Yeah.
She was going to sock ups.
Yes. Oh, wow. That motorcycle is loud. I wonder if it picked up on audio. I hope it picked up. If it did, then it means we're audio well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everyone's rubbing the foot. The foot's got to be a big thing.
Maybe they just don't want cooties.
People like feet. I want someone to be from Harvard to listen to this one and just go, I hate you guys. And you can comment that. Just don't be that mean. So in 1970, the first joint Harvard and Radcliffe commencement was held in Harvard Yard. And the following year, all Harvard and Radcliffe houses became co-ed. After many years of gradually shifting relationship, Radcliffe and Harvard combined their admissions in 1975. So yeah, no, they were just Radcliffe students. You're still not officially allowed into Harvard as a woman until 1975.
Wow.
That's bad.
I was born.
Yeah, the class of 1979 was the last cohort accepted through a separate Radcliffe College admissions office, but were not completely merged until 1999.
Whoa.
Apparently you could have technically, barely, officially gone to Harvard.
Wow.
You wouldn't have it officially. Wow.
Wow.
So they weren't, yes.
You were born then.
I was alive then once they were officially completely emerged. And thus it established the Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study. Wow, Harvard. I'm not looking so good today. It is a pretty day though. So Harvard's graduate schools have their own gender histories. So this is all undergrad. What I'm telling you.
Yeah.
We have a much shorter paragraph and story for grad schools.
That's what I was applying to when they didn't find my high school transcript. So I said, well, then.
Yeah.
But I still want to go to.
I mean, I want a big college experience. I went to a small college.
I went to a big college, but I did it when I was an old lady and had children.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
I sat in some of your community college classes because I was sick or whatever. I didn't want to go to school.
Your sister had to go after she had her MRI, and she'd just come from being completely sedated, and she had her sock monkey, and so she's like asleep in a seat in my like English class.
I was in like your English class or something.
Yeah.
And I had my DS.
Yeah. Hey, single motherhood. It's life.
Yeah. We go fight some people. Specific on one certain man. Boy. Where back to the graduate school. So Harvard Graduate School of Education was the first to admit women in 1920. So you could at least gotten an undergrad somewhere else and then go, I went to Harvard. The Harvard Medical School accepted its first female enrollees in 1945, although a woman had first applied almost 100 years earlier in 1847. A special meeting of the president and fellows of Harvard College on August 14th concluded that the corporation do not deem it advisable to alter the existing regulations of the medical school, which implied that students are exclusively of the male sex. Of course. Women began petitioning the Harvard Law School for admittance in 1871, but were not admitted until 1950.
Whoa.
That's about 70 years, 69 years of petitioning to actually be allowed into their law school, which everyone knows Harvard Law is very impressive. That's what it's really known for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so today, important milestones for women at the college continue in the 21st century. Harvard College opened its Women's Center in 2006. The following year, Drew Faust became Harvard's first woman appointed to Harvard's presidency, leading the university from 2007 to 2018.
Wow.
In 2018, Claudine Gay was appointed as the first woman and first Black person of color to be Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences of Harvard University. In 2023, she would later become the first person of color appointed as president of Harvard University. I believe she's now since stepped down with all the protests over Palestine. So that is my story. I will stitch yours onto mine when we record yours at our next stop or along our way to the next stop.
Yeah, we got out. I forgot my raincoat too, so.
And your notes.
Yeah. I'll get it together. Maybe. Some point. Yay, Harvard.
So, I wanted to say Bulldogs, but that's Yale.
Yeah, that's Yale.
What is their mascot?
What is Harvard?
Hey, Harvard, we're here on your campus. What's your mascot? Tell us.
Like, we want to support you.
I don't know.
I know. Say Bulldogs too.
No,
that's like literally.
But
that's because we watched too many Gilmore Girls episodes.
And we know Yale, and the ambulance is loud.
If she would have chosen to go to Harvard, we know more. But
she didn't go mostly supposedly because she funding.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't allow them to film on Harvard. Harvard was not allowing the Gilmore Girls production to film here in any capacity, which they didn't film, I think, in any capacity on Yale. In fact, they filmed the scenes when they visited Harvard at UCLA.
Oh, I thought you said it was Stanford, just because it was that coast.
No, it was UCLA. So yeah, Harvard, what's your mascot? Tell us before we keep saying "Go Bulldogs."
And if you know Dolly Parton, have her email me.
Yeah, if anyone's listening that knows Dolly Parton, to get on our podcast, because I think you'd be way more excited than many other people.
I'm trying.
You're trying.
She's speaking to me.
We have like 10 followers right now on Spotify.
And they don't know Dolly.
No.
That's okay. We'll get there.
One of these days. We gotta go check out this foot.
Yeah. Okay. Until we get back my notes, because, yep.
We'll get your story in a moment. So, welcome back to part 2 of episode 8. Quite a bit later, we are no longer at Harvard. In fact, we're at home. We forgot to record the second part. We did find out what the foot was. It is referenced as the shoe or the left foot of John Harvard. The statue is rubbed. It looks shiny, brass or copper, not even copper, more like gold, almost like in my eye, how it's rubbed. Because it's considered good luck to rub the foot.
Because their mascot is a pilgrim.
Yes. Because Harvard, as I'm wearing my Harvard shirt, was formed in 1636, as we already discussed. Kind of lame mascot. Sorry, but also, I guess you didn't really have any other better options at the time.
I mean, let's see, what was the year again?
1636.
So what I'm talking about today is 1647. So it's
Mm.
even back after the founding of, and the Mayflower landed. I just forgot that. Oh no, in 1620.
Dang, they didn't take long. 16 years to establish a university.
Yeah, I guess they need to educate those people.
It's like, oh, we had babies. They're college age now. Let's start the college.
I guess so.
I don't know.
Scary.
Yeah, and I probably sound funny because I'm congested. Very congested from the weather change coming back and whatnot.
I'm always congested and snotty and not snotty. Well, that turbulence, man, it really did break something up. It was really cool for a moment.
That would be the pressure change for you.
I know. That was crazy.
Oh my god, I still can't believe driving to the airport in that creepy car. That was probably, definitely eyeing us up.
People are scary.
People are scary.
Super scary.
Other than that, Massachusetts wasn't that scary.
No. I mean, prices. Whew. Some things. So.
Hey, shirts are good though. There's no tax on shirts in Massachusetts.
Yep. That was nice.
That was nice.
Yeah, because I got multiple shirts, especially when we were in Salem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, and I bought our Harvard shirts and got a cheap book and good stuff.
Oh, before I forget, so I have an office chair that's like a foldable, squishy office chair in my bedroom, and I've noticed that it makes a lot of noise when I breathe. So I need to replace the chair. So I'm just sitting on the floor now so that hopefully you don't hear any.
Can we just hear meows and little other cat sounds instead?
Well, Finn is looking at me very scared from me making those sounds. I don't even know. Wait, I don't know where Brody is. He's off doing who knows what.
The voidling went back to the void.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. I threw the unicorn out. Maybe he went to go find the unicorn. It's like
poor unicorn, he got kicked out.
It's like their favorite thing to walk around with. Oh, I meant to tell you, I think I have off this Saturday. So I'm hoping that I can be caught up enough with all the other stuff that I can record the TikTok videos for real this weekend.
That's the plan. Finally put up some flyers this weekend.
I've been at work all weekend.
I have not, because I don't work weekends. As a typical, stereotypical 9 to 5.
Yeah,
I work in an office.
Well, I have more than one job but I was actually at work this weekend, not just working at home.
Yeah, I can't work from home. You also can't as a teacher.
No, I can't.
Technically.
I mean, if I brought all the kids here, but then that would be terrifying. There'd be 100 and some kids running around my room. My house, not my room. My house.
That was also terrible in many other ways.
Oh, so many ways. They would have a ball.
Yeah, the cats would be mortified.
Yes, absolutely mortified. Yeah. Okay, are you ready? Because I might be ready. I don't know.
Tell me your story. I'm excited. We go from the women of Harvard and a little bit of Yale, because Ivy Leagues, to what do you got?
Well, I was going with the theme that we were going to record there, and since it's that time of year, I picked the first woman executed for witchcraft in the English colonies, American colonies.
Yeah, I figured that's what you were going for, a witchy, since we were going to record in Salem. But we had a lot more fun anyways.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of time. We didn't even get to do half the things we wanted to do in Salem. Because
we were tired.
And there was people.
There was a lot of
Lots and
people.
lots of people everywhere.
And then 95 sucked. Because when does 95 not suck?
Well, yeah. I will say I don't miss 95.
Mm-mm.
I don't, but I mean, granted, I do drive an hour to work and like an hour and a half back because traffic is usually bad on 64, but that's okay. Well, so there's two names given, and one is ALSE, so Alce, and one is Alice. Most things that I've seen use the name Alice, and they say that the both names are the same. There just wasn't universal spellings of names back then, but
No.
that's not true. There were, well, I guess biblical names because they were written down and everybody saw the same names. And maybe if you went outside of the Bible, is there not an Alice in the Bible? Is there an Alice
I don't
in the
think so,
Bible?
no.
I don't know. I don't remember an Alice. Yeah. Anyhow, she was the first witch executed, or basically the first woman murdered in the American colonies. So just some little information, fun facts kind of things. The oldest U.S. cities are St. Augustine, Florida, which was established as a Spanish colony in 1565. Jamestown, Virginia. Yes, Virginia has it before New England. You hear me, New England? Virginia. Jamestown is an English settlement in 1607. And then we have Santa Fe, New Mexico, which was a Spanish settlement in 1610. Hampton, Virginia even beat New England. English settlement in 1610. Albany, New York, the Dutch in 1614. And then finally we get to Plymouth, Massachusetts as an English settlement in 1620. So that's just to give you a time frame of like when these are only considered settlements because they lasted. Like Roanoke Island, we can't count it as a settlement because it didn't last. It came, it went. We don't even know for sure what happened. I think they just intermingled. But
there's a lot of ideas.
Yes, there are so many. They're finally finding actual artifacts, but that's a whole different story.
Yes.
So to give you some point of reference, this story is happening in 1647. Again, Plymouth Rock was 1620.
And also not an actual rock?
No.
They landed in Provincetown, aka Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
So that is 1620. We're in 1647, so that's almost 30 years. And the Salem witch trials happened in 1692, so that's 45 years difference. Okay, so let's just get to kind of why didn't witchcraft really happen like when they got here? Like Jamestown, why weren't there like witch hunts the moment they like landed? And Plymouth, why weren't they just like, oh witch? Well, because they needed manpower or people power to establish a settlement. They needed all hands on deck.
And
beyond a
you
doubt,
need babies.
Well, yep. And so one, they needed everybody to help build and, produce a working society. And they needed babies. Mayflower brought over 102 passengers that were the original settlers. By the first fall, a year later, only 51 of them were still alive. And that was only 4 women to 22 men.
Oh no.
And then there were 25 children and teens. So with only 4 women to repopulate, they couldn't really risk destroying the bloodline. Because, the bloodline is so very, very important.
The bloodline that is now cursed with all those men and 4 women.
Mm-hmm.
Those poor women.
Yes. So we're not going to get into intermingling, but that there are societies out there like, my family came over on the Mayflower. Well, so did probably your brother and its uncle and lots of things we don't want to talk about. But so they couldn't really go witch, because they had 4 women. And if they sacrificed them to whatever reason they used for witchcraft or belief, and keep in mind, these are Puritans, they did truly believe that these things did exist. That does not mean that the people in charge really believed that when they said witch, they were meaning witch. So mainly with the population issues, but as soon as the population rose and hierarchies were more secure, executions were less damaging to the communities as a whole. So at that point, they can be like, "Oh, you don't want to follow our rules? You want to wear pants? What are you talking about?" But from what I've read, and there's actually, I looked at this literary, like peer-reviewed thing of the first person ever in all of history accused of witchcraft and murdered for that, and that was like in ancient Greece or Rome, and it comes down to the same things. They disagreed with the whole, or they were a scapegoat, or they just didn't want them to have some kind of status that they had, and so they could take it away by saying witch. So a little bit about Alice. We don't have a lot of information because, well, it was a really long time ago.
And also as a woman.
Yes. So she is either born in Berkshire or Windsor, England in 1615. So there is like one record that says maybe she was born in 1600, but then that would mean that when 1640 rolls around and she has a child, she would have been 40 years old.
Which is not likely at the time.
Which is not likely at the time. So she came to the U.S. and Windsor, Connecticut in the 1630s. She married a man named John Young. He was a carpenter. They think somewhere around 1938, maybe in Cambridge. There is no formal marriage record, but documentation that John Young was married to the witch hung in Hartford in 1647. There is documentation for that, and being that she was the only person hung as a witch in Hartford at that time, they use it as confirmation that they were married. They had one child, a daughter named Alice, so she was Alice Jr. But she can't really be a junior because she had a different last name when she was named Alice before, and then she had a married name, so that I don't understand. But I've never understood that. Like, Rory isn't a junior because she may have the same first name, but she's not. Well, she did have the same last name because she were all Gilmores. They have a different middle name.
They have a different middle name then.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. John Young was a carpenter. He was a landowner. He owned residential lot with their home. He owned a wood lot and 40 acres agricultural lot. So considered reasonably well off at the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, granted, there wasn't, this is 1647, Pilgrims landed in 1620, so 27 years later, there's land everywhere that they're taking from, indigenous people.
Yes.
So, well, in 1947, there was a flu epidemic. 27 people in Windsor died, which is more than 4 times the average death rate. People died from important town families, the child of the town doctor, which, okay, if the town doctor's children are dying, then I guess all hope is lost. 4 children from the next door neighbor of Alice and John, 4 children from their family. And it was the Thornton family, the father being Thomas Thornton, who became a minister after the death of his children and later became friends with Cotton Mather. And if you do not know that name, you have not heard anything about the Salem witch trials at all in your life, because that is like the top person to bring it all down and keep it going.
I don't remember the name, but I know I've heard Salem witch trials, so I just don't remember names.
Yep, that's the instigator, and then later was basically like made to feel stupid. But again, you instigated the murder of women
just because they did something you didn't like,
or
or scapegoat and things.
Yeah. So basically, with the flu epidemic, people were like, okay, her neighbors' kids are dying. Like 4 of them died from that family. And then like the town's doctor's child dies, where, whoa, he's the doctor. and your one kid survives, well, that's fishy. And, well, we got to think that if this is happening to us, we probably did something evil, or something evil is doing this. So, well, that's not good. Um, Basically, all their brains are going, oh no, witch. Or actually, they were all going, what is happening? We need to figure out the evil that we have done, the evil that's around, all the evil, evil, evil. But we also have to keep in mind that witchcraft was one of 12 capital colonial crimes. And theories for her accusation, conviction, and execution, or murder in general, because she wasn't a witch. So they just killed her in some, where she only had one child, therefore must be less fertile and jealous of other women, driving her to align with the devil and witchcraft, which apparently this is was a normal thought process. She was a healer, like most women were at the time, because they really only had holistic medicine.
Yes, and they weren't allowed in a lot of other places because it's a male-dominated society.
Yes, so women knew things based on family tradition, and, well, at this point they're also learning things about their new area and from the indigenous people about, this root will do this. So, I mean, that's what there was. There weren't pharmacies on the corner. There wasn't a Walgreens to go to and be like, oh, I'm in pain, let me go get some pills. It was holistic. So she was probably a healer, but was not able to, or chose not to, save the lives of others during the epidemic. And she was the cause of the deaths because she couldn't save them. Killing her protected them in the future because she was the reason that they all died, which is very circular thinking and doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And then the big fun reason is, well, she only had a daughter. She didn't have a son. So if her husband got sick and died, then she would inherit all of his land. But if something happened to her and something happened to him, well, the land just goes to the local government. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Weird, right? So he was not dying. However, there were tons of people dying everywhere. So one of the big things is they thought, well, okay, we got to be careful, because if something happens to him, she's going to own the land, and we don't want a woman owning the land. She didn't have any sons for it to go to. So she subsequently was charged with witchcraft, convicted, and hanged for witchcraft in 1647 as the first woman accused and murdered in the U.S. colonies, the American colonies. And 2 years after her death, her husband sold his land and moved to Stratford, Connecticut. And he passed away in 1661 without leaving a will, even though he'd been sick for months and months. So he didn't leave a will. He gave nothing, or of no words did he give an inheritance to his only daughter.
Yeah.
Or her sons. So it makes me think that was probably a very trying life after she was killed. I also saw some things that there were married women that their families lived around the Young's house, and they all seemed to have the same maiden name. So it was possible that they were all related to either John or Alice. And within short time after her execution, they moved out of the area too, probably more for safety. But there were actually Connecticut witch trials that apparently nobody really knows anything about. 34 to 43 were accused and indicted for witchcraft. There were 11 victims that were actually executed, and they were all hung. And the first one was Alice in 1647. There was Mary Johnson in 1648, Goodwife Bassett in 1651, Joan and John Carrington, husband and wife, in 1651, Goodwife Knapp in 1653, Lydia Gilbert in 1654, Mary Sanford in 1662, Nathaniel and Rebecca Greensmith, married couple again, 1663, and Mary Barnes in 1663. That is many years, 1647 to
And that's many people.
1663. Yeah. So that's the Connecticut witch trials, which we don't know a lot about. And there actually really wasn't nearly that much information. Granted, it was a very long time ago. So most of the information about Alice Young comes from one and two journals.
Mhm.
So, and that's diaries, not their diaries, but other people's diaries telling of the story. So this I thought was interesting. 30 years after her mother's death, Alice Jr. and her son Thomas were accused of being a witch and looking like a witch. She was accused of being a witch. He was accused of looking like a witch.
Weird.
And he actually sued the person who said that for slander and won.
Good for him.
Yep. So, yeah. And this is still, even if it's 30 years after, so that makes it 1677, which is still 15 years before the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
So, in February of 2017, 370 years after Alice's death, Alice was officially pardoned by the Windsor Town Council. So that's just the Windsor. And then in 2023, Connecticut exonerated all people tried and executed for witchcraft in the state. And there, I saw some articles of like ninth granddaughter of Alice said she knows that people think this is silly after all these years. She's like, but it makes us feel better knowing that a wrong was righted. And if it in any way helps her in the afterlife, we hope that it, she feels some impact.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal to call somebody a witch and hang them.
Especially in those times. There's I don't know how much more you have of your story before I go on my tangent.
I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, no. Very screwy, very messed up. But the exoneration. So there's this video game that came out this year. Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. And it's two people that, the story be like you play as, and supernatural banishers, basically. They'll banish them back to like the other realm, to hell, or to truly die, or whatever kind of aspect.
Okay.
And they come to New England, from England, to help this town because they've all wrongfully convicted this woman and of being a witch, and somehow the anger in her and just all the other wrongs the town has done has put them in a curse, and so you have to resolve that.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Negative energy is negative energy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And yeah, it was insane. It's a really cool game, storyline. But, it's still very relevant today. There's calls for witch trials and scapegoats of women and wrongful doing upon women in death. More out of the ordinary than it is compared to men, because it is still such a male-dominated society.
Yeah, no. My students generally, typically, truly believe I'm a witch.
I'm not surprised. You did dress as a witch.
Yeah, the witch hat in my room doesn't probably help, but they also do think I teleport and I can read their minds and see things because I could see that one of my students was doing something and I was like, stop that, put that down. And they're like, how can you see that? And I was like, I can see all things. They're like, what? I'm like, y'all are 8th grade, guys. I don't have magical powers. Well, not that I'm going to share with the universe. We'll share with people so that they know that I have the magical powers.
I see.
Yes. It's got to keep it secret so that I can use them to my benefit. I teach math to 8th graders. I need to keep it entertaining.
Yeah. They're entertained by all your rainbows and unicorns in your office, though, or your room.
Yeah, they're definitely generally very entertained by my use of words willy-nilly, thingamabob, or my inability to speak the English language. Wow, in one class period, I couldn't even spell anything. I think I got to like 8 or 9 misspellings, and the other teacher in my room was just having a ball laughing at me. I'm like, ugh. But
Nice.
that's okay. I can't spell.
Spelling is hard. There's a reason
Yeah.
we're STEM majors.
Yeah, my brain goes faster than my hand sometimes.
Hi, would you like to have some ADHD meds?
Yeah, I don't know. I just need
Well,
a nap.
It depends too, because there's the different people of like they need it every day, like me, or people who need it every now and then, like uh other friends that I've been around and ex-partners and whatnot.
I just need a nap.
Nap is also good.
Oh, sorry.
Make me yawn now.
I'm sorry. But it's finally October in just a couple of days.
It's finally fall.
Yeah.
We got the pretty leaf colors in Massachusetts, at least a little bit.
Yeah. And we can't go to the mountains here because, PSA. If you're listening to this, the 5 of you that may be listening, and that's probably overestimating, right now, Western North Carolina is destroyed. Red Cross is the most recommended donations because they can get to these places. Giving to your local church cannot get to these places.
The roads are closed. You can only fly into Asheville.
You can only fly into most of these places. The roads are down. The mountain has come from the top down to the bottom. It's bad. People need as much help as you can possibly give. If it's the $5 or a roll of toilet paper, anything will help right now. They have nothing.
They don't have food. They don't have clean water.
They have completely rebuild a good, third of the state. So if you have anything that you are able to help, Red Cross is the most recommended. I haven't looked into FEMA. I
don't know how much is spread out because there's a lot of really bad damage and like other things from the Appalachia and Virginia all the way through to Florida and the Big Bend.
Yes, I don't even want to think about Florida. One of my colleagues.
Florida's more prepared for this.
Yes, and the mountains these people don't have flood insurance. They live in the mountains, but one of my colleagues went to go help his parents in Tampa last week and left Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and I'm supposed to see him tomorrow. And I haven't bothered him because I don't want to be like, hey, how are you? And he's like treading water in the middle of like a street. I don't know. But there's a ton of devastation out there, and we have more storms forming in the Atlantic and the Gulf right now. So,
and it's our home.
Yes. If there's anything you can do, we only have each other and maybe the aliens that are hidden.
There's no aliens, but there's all the cryptids and other skinwalkers in Appalachia, apparently.
Oh, I don't even want to think about that. Appalachia's scary.
Because the mountains are older than bones.
You don't want to think about.
Well, on just a dark overall second half, because Mother Nature and the horrors women have had to witness of their peers and experience.
Go do something extraordinary.